Hello, Professor Henry. So I am gonna do the resubmission for week 2 here. So I will be going over game includes at least 4 AI tanks, AI tank personality detailed and text file. Each AI controller is a unique FSM, and then game exceeds minimum requirements. So first thing, game includes at least 4 AI tank controllers. So as you can see, I have my attacker tank, can you hear tank, patroller tank, and flea tank. And then I have my AI state scripts here. So as you can see, I have my state manager script, which this holds all of the management for like what the tanks can do in their behaviors. So I have like the do chase, the do flee, can move, do avoidance, can see, can hear, etc. And then I have like patrol state, chase state, sight state, and flee state. So I'm going to go in order here. So as you can see, I have the attacker tank here where it has the chase state script, and then the state is set to chase. So this tank will go ahead and chase the player on play and just kind of follow him around and chase after him when he's in line of sight, of course. And then he will go around to try to go back and get to him. But that is one of the AI states that you could do. The next one will be the patroller tank, which all this tank is tasked to do is patrol the level and go in a loop. So as you can see, I have the patroller tank here where it'll go to each of the locations that is marked on the screen, and then it will just kind of keep going in that loop there. That is my patroller state script here, where all it is tasked to do is just go into a loop. That's all its main purpose is. Just for the chase state here, I have it set to where it will chase the player, and then as soon as it reaches half health, it will flee from the player, which I didn't showcase that. Let me go back to do that real quick. So as you can see, it will follow the player, but then it will flee from me as soon as it gets to half health. So as you can see in my chase state script, it switched from the chase state to the flee state. So that is the attacker tank. When it reaches half health, it will go ahead and flee from the player. And then the next one I have is my flea tank, where this tank is set to where if it sees the player, it will flee from it, making it harder for the player to go after it. So I guess as you can see, this tank is not moving, but as soon as I get into its line of sight, it will start turning away from me and fleeing. That is the flea tank there, where all it's tasked to do is to run away from me. The last one is the can you hear me tank, where this tank is designed to if it hears me or hears the tank, it will chase after the player when you're in range, of course. So as you can see, it doesn't hear me yet, but then as soon as I get into the hearing distance, it will go ahead and start to chase after me here. So that is all of the different AI personalities that I've done. Those are just the 4 here that I managed to make. I did understand the state machines after researching them a bit more and understanding how they work. It does make sense to me now doing it like this. Like if they can hear the player, that makes sense. Then they'll do an action, which is do chase. That makes sense to me. and then calling it all in one script also does as well. So that is that one. The next one I'll do is the AI tank personalities detailed in a text file, which I have up here. No, that is not it. It is this one. I thought I had it opened. So I have the 4 tank personalities detailed here. The first one is the patroller tank. This tank would patrol the level based on the waypoints in the level. If it comes to a wall when a waypoint is on the other side, then turn to avoid the object and go around. It will loop through the maze going in a route. This tank seems to do nothing other than follow its path. So that is the patrol tank. All it does and designed for is to go into a route and not really do anything else. The attacker tank is where it will chase after the player around and follow him. All this tank knows is to chase the enemy, but when it gets in danger, it will retreat until it is healed. So this tank will flee when it reaches half health until it gets healed. Then it will go back into the chase state and then re-attack the player. The third personality is the Flea tank. This tank will turn around from the player when it sees the player and run away from the player, and making it harder for him to get points and annoy the heck out of him. All he does is catch and mouse. And then the last one is the Can You Hear tank, where if this tank hears the player, it will chase after the player around, shooting at him until he is defeated or loses half health. That is the AI tank personalities detailed in the text file. The fourth one is each AI controller is a unique FSM. So in my scripts here, I have the patrol state, where all this kind of does is patrol around the level. That's all its state can do. The chase state has a function of the chase and then the flee state, to where if it's in the chase state, it will chase the player, and then as soon as it goes into half health, it will then flee from the player, avoiding it. The sight state, or hear sight, one where if it hears the player, if it can hear the player, it will chase after the player. And then the last one is the flee state, where if it can see the player, it will flee from it. So those are the 4 unique FSM tanks. I know they're not too unique, but it's kind of what I have right now to showcase. The next and last one I will mention in the resubmission is game exceeds minimum requirements. So I decided to go ahead and do a landmine here, so that way if the player steps on it, or not steps on, but goes over it, it will deal damage to the player. So I have that going through a trigger, through a box collider, to where it connects with the player collider, it will react. So I have a explosion game object, which is the landmine itself, and then I have a hit object sound, so that way when the player triggers with it, it will play a sound, an explosion sound, boom, etc. And then the damage for the designer to edit how much damage he wants this landmine to do to the player. So all it is just a little cube with a box collider. And then in the scripts, I have, as you can see, the 2 game objects that it's referencing, which is the sound and the object itself. And then it's the damage. And then I have just a collider on trigger enter. If this collider connects with another collider with the tagged player, it will then react to it, so it will instantiate a sound playing that, and then it will get the player's tank health component, and then it will deal damage to that player if it has the tank health component on it. And then the last part of it is it'll be destroyed once it collides. So to showcase that, as you can see, it's just a little landmine, and then if I go over it, it will deal damage to the player, and you can see that it is destroyed. So that's kind of all I wanted to showcase to you in this one. For the requirements was just the main ones that I missed, that were the least amount of points. So yeah.